Let's be honest. Midnight is not a good time to knock on anyone's door. Most of us, if we hear a knock at that hour, we assume that it's bad news, don't we? There's a vulnerability to that time of day. It's a time of day when things feel heavy, when we feel lonelier. It's a time, I think, when we're most afraid, if we're going to be afraid. And it's a time when hope can feel like it's far away. And that's exactly when this story takes place. A friend knocks at midnight. Jesus tells this story right after teaching his disciples how to pray, and the prayer that we still use today, the Lord's Prayer. And he says to them, imagine going to a friend's house at midnight because someone showed up and you had nothing to offer them. And you knock. And the friend is annoyed. They're already in bed, the kids are asleep, they don't want to get up. But you keep knocking. And eventually, because they feel generous or they're annoyed, I better get up. And because of your persistence, they get up and help. Now, Jesus isn't saying that God is like a reluctant friend. Jesus is drawing a contrast. If someone will open the door just to get you to stop knocking, imagine how much more the Spirit will meet us with compassion and care when we reach out in trust and when we reach out to the Spirit in desperation. Midnight is more than just a time on the clock. It's the metaphor for those moments in life when things feel unclear, when things feel uncertain, and when things even feel unbearable. We knock at midnight when we're exhausted and we can't seem to see a way forward. We knock at midnight when we're praying for healing that hasn't come. We knock at midnight when we're waiting for justice that feels delayed. We knock at midnight when we're trying to hold on to hope when hope feels thin. We knock on midnight when there's conflicts in our family and it seems as though the family is not uniting. We knock on midnight when our kids are sick, our kids aren't doing well in their families, and our grandchildren aren't doing well. We knock on midnight when there's so many other factors that make us feel like we're drowning. We knock at midnight. And Jesus says, yes, even then, even when you feel as though you can't come up for air, even then, keep knocking. What does knocking look like? Knocking doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It might be whispering a tired prayer or sighing a big sigh at the end of the day. Knocking is breaking down in tears because you just don't have the words to say what's on your mind. Knocking is trying to slow your breathing because your heart is just racing from panic. Have you ever experienced that? You're trying, your heart is beating so fast that you're trying to breathe slower to just calm that feeling. Knocking is asking someone for help, even when it's difficult to ask for help. Knocking is showing up again to work, showing up again to the community, and showing up again to the family where you feel unwanted. And sometimes the knock is barely audible. Oftentimes, you don't even know that you're knocking. But it still counts. Jesus invites us to ask, to knock, and to keep asking. Not because Jesus wants us to beg, but because Jesus wants a relationship. Jesus wants us to know that we are welcome at the door of grace at all times, but especially when we feel like there's no other door to knock at. He's saying that the relationship with the holy is real and the relationship with the holy is important. And we can approach it with vulnerability. We can approach the relationship with God with honesty and with persistence and with hope. Even in the midnight hours of your lives. Especially in the midnight hours of your lives. What are the midnight moments in your lives right now? What are you afraid to ask for or afraid won't be answered? What does persistence look like in a world that tells us that we should just give up? Jesus gives us a simple image in this story. Someone is standing in the dark and they're knocking. Is that you? Knocking because you don't have the perfect words? Is that you knocking although you are not certain of what's inside, but you know that you need something? And you believe that someone on the other side is waiting to open the door to you? Is that you knocking today? May we be brave enough to knock. May we be courageous to keep knocking. Not because we're sure of the outcome, but because we trust that we won't be left standing alone in the night. And may we also be the ones to open the door when someone else is knocking in their midnight hour. Amen.